Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to From Script to Shelf. We have a very special guest today. We have Kyle Starks joining the show. Kyle, how are you this evening?
Hey, thanks for having me. We're here. We're ready to go. Let's talk about whatever we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about things.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, you've had a pretty busy last little bit from what it sounds like. You had Emerald City, you had C2E2. So how's your last like month or two been as far as travel, workload, stuff like that?
I mean, having 2 weeks on the road is will put you behind on work. My mom fell and broke her elbow. There's a lot going on, but you know what? We persevere. That's what we do. It's better to be busy than not busy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I saw those some of those posts on Blue Sky about like your mom. I'm sorry to hear that that was happening. Is
She's all right.
she all good now?
Yeah, just her elbow. We can live without
Okay.
those.
Okay, that's true. And it sounds like you had some very interesting people that were in the waiting room with you. It sounds like
I think
I
I think that's all waiting rooms. I don't think it was exclusive to me. It was a hateful experience.
it is pretty shocking like when you're in public and you see people that are like, I mean, we are in a public space here. Why are you doing some of the things that you are doing? It's kind of shocking to be honest, but
Yeah, we're already inconvenienced enough, if I'll be honest with you. So
so right, right.
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you're on the road and you're traveling and you're at some of these shows, what is the work that people most want to talk about with you?
Uh, it kind of depends on the show and when it happens. It's funny you say that. Talk to me about it. I feel like there's not a lot of talking to me about projects right now. There
Mhm,
is clear interest, but there's not a lot of conversations. I was at C2E2. I was so busy. Also, that might have been a side, but hands down, the book people wanted to deal with at C2E2 was Wrestle Heist,
mhm,
and at Emerald City it was End of Life. That was
mhm,
probably I'm gonna say that seems right in my head. But like I
mhm,
but like you just every show is different. Like where you're at regionally matters. Um how comic heavy the show is matters.
mhm.
Um so yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. Like and all like I'll have like at Emerald City I signed a ton of Barflies. Well, Barfly came out a year and a half in trade, you know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
an old book to me and I did Terrific Con last I think I did it last year. I can't remember. And like I signed so many six sidekicks of Trigger Keaton.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Mhm.
why am I signing that now? I don't know. Everything feels like for me, it's always a couple years late, which is never great for sales. Um, so there doesn't feel like there's a lot of rhyme or reason to it.
Absolutely. Okay. And that's the thing that I feel like it's always very interesting too, because I live in the Midwest. There's not a lot of shows like nearby, so it's just one of those things that I just don't have that experience very often to go to a show. So it is interesting too, where if depending on where you're at, I was kind of wondering about that too, because yeah, different parts of the country, people like different things, and even know that you have there's quite the back catalog of work. So it's interesting that you are having people that are wanting to talk about or get things signed that are maybe came out again several years ago, right? But I think that is kind of the in which again, not like you said, not the best thing for sales, but
Mm.
it is. I guess I do one thing I do like is we are at a time where it's like there are a lot of things that are if they are remaining in print, like we can still go back to read things because there's so many things that I do not stay caught up on. So it's like if I can go back and find like some hidden gems, that to me is pretty important too.
Yeah, I think there's also like every year I do sort of a bigger book, sort of. So it's a lot of people discover me for the first time. And so I think that brings a lot of, oh, let me see what else they have. And sometimes it's what the store didn't sell, if I'm going to be honest. So you're like, why was Six Sidekicks popular 2 years ago? Peacemaker? I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
know that Rock Candy Mountain sold really well after Peacemaker, like notably.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because that's what people had. Like, honestly, I think it's what stores had or what they could easily get, which is also possibly the answer. But I think there's a lot of people selling stuff that they had and then reordering it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, if I'm going to do a 1 day show in Middle Indiana, which is pretty comic savvy, but
Mm-hmm.
like, look, if I bring any Rick and Morty stuff, like the Rick and Morty stuff was what's going to sell there, but I'm not bringing any Rick and Morty stuff. So like whatever is like recognizable that easily validates you sometimes is what will sell. Um, they're all weird, man. Like you can't plan. Some people can.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot. My work just changes too often, and I think even like genre wise, like there's kind of jumps between each book, so it's not like I can be like, oh, this is I'll bring all the horror books. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm,
there's just
mhm,
never a rhyme. So I try to bring. Well, at this point, I try to bring what I have that's a comp, honestly,
mhm.
because the profit's higher. But yeah, it's like what do I have? What can I bring? What will take place on this, the table that doesn't make it look ridiculous?
Absolutely. And you mentioned like some of the the business side of things. And how long did that take you to kind of learn like the ins and outs, like business wise? Because I think a lot of people think comics and they think of just the creative side of things. And so what was that learning curve like for you to kind of like learn like the business of it and to kind of become more successful that way? And again, that's probably a tough
For
question, but
for conventions or for the industry, like what,
well, I was thinking more just industry
like
wide, but certainly you
professionally.
can talk. Yeah.
I don't have it figured out, man. I don't make any money. I mean, I do okay. I've been doing it professionally for 9 years, but a lot of that's luck, and I've done enough creator-owned projects that I benefited. But um, man, Rick and Morty was great for me in terms
Mhm,
of doing well. It was also great for me in terms of getting more work because I showed like I was consistent and professional, and I could do
mhm.
a book for 5 years, though no one read that book. So it's really just that I had a job for 5 years that people would look at early on. That I did a comedy book successfully. Um, and that opened a ton of doors. And Sex Castle opened that door because if you
Mhm,
do a funny book, you get a lot of opportunities. And I've been very lucky that I haven't had to do anything I didn't want to do. I've never had to sort of beg for jobs or just try to
mhm,
get something to do. Like there's books I'd say no to a lot of things. I do
mhm,
say no to a lot of things, and there's 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 weeks where that's probably unwise, but overall, I want to keep making the best work. So I mean, dude, the industry is so hard.
mhm.
Like there's not really a there is a trick to it, and I don't know the trick. And you want to get, I mean, you had Tony on here, right? And Tony
Yeah.
knows whatever the trick is. I do not. I'm trying to figure out because Tony guys like Tony and Scotty Young, um, Tinian, obviously. Um, some of those guys have figured out how you engage retailers and you engage the
Mhm,
direct market in a way that's profitable past
mhm.
what I do is I just try to keep putting out good books and hope somebody reads them. Well, that's terrible business in this industry, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm really trying to engage retailers, and each book that I do that sort of raises my Q rating helps.
Mhm,
Uh, End of Life was my best-selling number one, and I suspect 85% of that people have never read my work before,
mhm,
including shop owners.
mhm,
So it's this thing where all the shops are different, all the publishers are different, everything's different. No two things are the same. Scripts aren't the same. Artists aren't the same. So
mhm.
there's the people who have figured it out. Like kudos to them. I'm so envious because they have money. They have houses paid off, and probably like a car that they can rely on. Um, I'm doing fine.
Mhm,
I'm doing fine, but like I haven't figured it out. I mean, like the short, simple answer is that is like make good work and keep getting work. But the quality of the work, in my experience, begets more work. Like if you
mhm,
put out something good, then someone will want you to do something with them. If
mhm.
you do something good, and now the thing is that if that book doesn't sell well, they're not going to ask you to do another thing, whether the book's good or not. It's like, well, I can't control if it sells well. I'm not a
Mhm,
publisher. I'm a storyteller. Like I don't know
mhm,
how to sell. I don't know how to sell a book. I really don't. I had a meeting with I was told afterwards, a really important person in marketing, in comics marketing. I didn't know. I just thought it was a meeting.
Yeah.
And and the first thing they said to me was something along the lines of, "How do you think we should promote this?" And I was like, I don't know. I didn't go to school for marketing. Like I have no idea. If I was good at marketing, I probably wouldn't be having this breakfast. Um, and so yeah, the business. I mean, everyone's gonna tell you something different. There is some secret to it past just making good work. But I don't know what that is, and that's probably like the real like how do you figure out the industry? Otherwise, I try to be nice. I never miss deadlines. I try to always do a good job. I uh, I'm not a problem and
Mhm,
I'm fast. So like that's what I do and it's worked out so well. I've done okay with creator owned stuff so I can
mhm,
draw something every few years and
mhm,
I get supported nicely for that.
mhm.
But that's just building an audience and that's by just putting out good things as long as you can, as often as you can.
Yeah, and I think that any person that I've talked to, like personally, or seen things online, like even if there's, like you said, if for end of life, if there's lots of those people that are reading that have not read your other work, I feel like you've built so much goodwill with the people that have read your work, and there is like a loyal audience there that it's like, okay, if you like this, you're probably going to like a lot of other things that you also do. I don't know. Do you find that to be the case?
Oh, for sure. It's just what is that number of people? It's not. I'm really good friends with Matt Kent, who's really good friends with Jeff Lemire, and they have built up audiences that they don't. The direct market doesn't matter. Like they could just not do the direct market anymore because they have X thousand, probably higher than that, but X thousands number of people who will always give them $20. Well, mine is significantly lower than that. So, but yeah, I've had people with me literally from day one. And it's grown. I think every project it grows. And I do believe that. And I think people talk about my books and I think they share my books. I know like Sex Castle has never gone out of print because people will buy it and give it away. I think the new Rock Candy Mountain, I think it always should have been collected, is going to do the same. I think Peacemaker and softcover, maybe. I think Peacemaker in compact, we're trying to get to happen.
Yep.
We're trying to manifest Peacemaker Tries Hard as a compact comic. I think that's a book that people will really talk about. And I think there's a lot of this stuff. I think Where Monsters Lie is a really fun horror comic for people who like horror. I think the book I just did, Devil on My Shoulder, is a really great dark horror for people who like real straight horror. I have a wrestling book that's also a heist book. So I think I have a lot of stuff that hits sort of a lot of different targets. And there's really not one consistent theme, which is maybe also not super great. But also like I want to keep trying. I want to do the things I want to do. I want to try different things. And I also think that's why people hang on, because I'm not giving them the same, maybe the same flavor, maybe the same, not flavor isn't right. Like it's definitely ice cream every time, right? It's definitely ice cream. It's definitely Kyle. But I change it up because I get bored and I want to try new things. And when I try new things, I get to have a different perspective and try things I hadn't done before. And I like it.
Absolutely. And I think that one thing about that, I don't know, again, I'm not sure if you're going to agree with this or not, but I think that from things that I've seen like of you, you're definitely one of those creators that is going to interact with like people that enjoy your work. And there was one day I was on like a comics Reddit, and I don't remember which one it was. And it's like all of a sudden you popped up in there somewhere. Like, I don't know which one it was and how long ago this was, but at some point, and then like, people really appreciate that. It's like there's some sort of like interaction I can have with the creator online. And that's like, people think that's cool.
Oh, well, I do that. If I try to, but you have to be very careful to not be like, to like, actually, you know what I mean? Like,
yes. Yeah.
To be like, well, hold on. But I do try to goof. But you can't respond. I'm with perpetually online, is that what people say? Like I'm online because I'm at my computer. I work all day at my computer, and when I'm not at my computer, I'm expecting text. I'm always looking at things. So if I get tagged, like I probably see the comment, and if I think it's worthy of a response, I will respond. But I know some people like just love to argue. They're more successful than me. Someone I years ago, they're like, you haven't made it till someone hates you, and I don't think. I don't know if someone hates me. I haven't heard of them. Now I'm manifesting the wrong things, but I know they would argue with people. They would explain things like in their big two comics. And it's like, I don't really, no, thank you. I don't have interest in that, but I do like to goof around and like, I did this comic called Wrestle Heist from Image that's coming out right now. And someone was like, oh, we're going to talk about wrestling and we're going to talk about Wrestling Heist on our Patreon. I was like, well, I like to talk about wrestling. And they're like, do you want to come on? And I'm like, sure. Like, why not? Like, this is all there is promotion. All there is promotion is me, which is categorically incorrect, by the way. That's not my job. But if coming on a podcast and if someone's like, oh, usually I play this video game and I have a friend, I'm like, I can't play it, I have a podcast. And they said, is it good? And I'm like, no, I don't know. And I don't know. I almost never know what the podcast is because I don't listen. I listen to off panel. Like I listen to very few. And there's certain ones I'll listen to if friends on it or if I'm interested in like, yeah. So I don't know. I have no idea. But if you have 10 people following you that listen to the show and that's it, and 2 of them buy my book, that's great. It's worth my hour to say, which is an incredibly small number. But I like to have the delusion that I'm charming and likable and I make good work. And if people experience me, they'll want to experience more of me in some regard. And I hope that's true. If not, well, sorry everybody. Sorry I let you down.
And I think like, again, I can't speak to other people, but for myself, I feel like if I hear somebody on a podcast or any sort of interview or I see them interacting online, like to me, it's just that that thought of like, oh, like this is a real person behind the work. You get to know them to some extent, and in a limited capacity, and that to me, like that drives some level of connection. I feel like for at least as I buy comics, that like I'll look for maybe less of what characters are they writing if it's one of the big two, more than like who's writing the book. That's probably the biggest thing, or who's drawing, or whatever. But you mentioned some things about like, okay, you haven't made it until somebody hates you. I mentioned that to Tony when I had him on, and I was listening to a Robert Kirkman interview, and he talked about that, about like, okay, early on, like he was getting all this positive feedback, and I remember which book it was where things started to kind of take off, and he was becoming more successful, but then like the negative comments are increasing and increasing. And I asked Tony about that too, and he's like, I haven't got a lot of that so far, but he's like, I have a feeling I'm going to when Deathstroke starts coming out, and that's going to become more of a hot button thing. But
Tony, and think about how popular Scotty's a good example too, but Tony's made money. Mm-hmm. I gotta be real careful. I talk about I like Tony a lot. I really do. Tony's been very successful, and he's been very smart about this industry. But the pony people are probably mad in some way. Like he did ponies for years, right? Yeah. But after that, it's like everyone loves Stray Dogs and everyone loves Pharaoh, and certainly everyone liked Local Man. Like his body of work is all very likable. But I remember the first convention I sat next to Erica Henderson, and it wasn't the first convention she did, but she was not Erica Henderson. She was selling prints, and I was selling my wrestling comic, my first wrestling comic, and we just really hit it off. And a few years later, I was doing Sex Castle. Literally 2 years later, I was doing Sex Castle, and she was coming up. Sex Castle was coming out from Image, and she was about to do Squirrel Girl. And Squirrel Girl came out. She had done two things. I'm probably exaggerating. I know she did a couple of Quantum and Woodies for Valiant, and she did a book called Subatomic Party Girls which is a great name, for Monkey Brain. And I think for sequential work, like that was about it. Yeah. And when she started doing Squirrel Girl correctly, everyone went, this artist is amazing. This artist is incredible. And of course, Ryan North, you couldn't ask for a better team, honestly.
Absolutely.
But I'd say within a few months, like her Twitter changed. Her Twitter changed as soon as Squirrel Girl came out, but it just also got worse. Like you could see it just get worse. And I don't know if there's more eyes, then there's more people to have a different opinion. I don't know if that's just, which it feels like, is that as fans, we just, like, all fandoms have so many haters in them, which doesn't make any sense. Like, I think we just like to, like, we expect more of the things that we love, or we have unrealistic expectations. I don't know what that is, but certainly, I don't get a lot of hate on Sex Castle, but like, how many people have read it? You know what I mean? You're talking about like literally thousands, like literally less than 10,000 probably. I have to check that. I just say numbers sometimes. But Deathstroke's going to be, look, End of Life was 30 something. I Hate This Place was 28 something. Never heard a bad word about I Hate This Place. My best-selling book up until then. In fact, it's usually like it is the ones that don't sell quite as well. If I see a semi-negative one, but it's like, it's somewhere over 35. You know what I mean? You have to be over 35 regular, and it's I don't know if it's just there's more eyes, and so you're getting the people who, maybe some people don't even like it that much. People don't like comics that much. But I think certainly, like, at a certain number, there's a passion in the fandom that makes people really veer one way or the other. Imagine being a Batman writer. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
Even like that, like Batman. I see like sort of the agitation I see online for like, oh, this guy's Batman run. It's like, oh, that guy's one of the 4 best writers in comics. Like your options are, there's only 3 guys better than him, and they've already written. Like they just wrote before him. Yeah. And there's this thing like, man, imagine being mad when you always get the best thing. You get the best artists. Like, what are you mad about? You should try to read a Green Arrow. You should be a Green Arrow fan. You don't even have a rogues gallery. You only have 2 guys that anyone knows in your rogues gallery. Like you guys have a billion marketable guys you can drop and sell. So you can put Kite Man in a Batman right now and it'll sell 100,000 copies probably. Green Arrow is trying to get 22. So it's interesting, but I think it's I do think it's true. Like the moment where you go, like, what's happening? Like you guys all liked this before. I think there's expectations and there's but I also think like how you deal with that property matters. Because like that's the other thing is like all creator owned stuff. Like people aren't going to tell you did Stray Dogs wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are gonna
Right.
tell you just Arrow
Exactly.
wrong. They're not gonna say Local Man is wrong, but you can do Deathstroke wrong by a certain percentage of people's opinion. Can you imagine? Like Deathstroke is on that list of next level.
Hmm.
Deathstroke and Lobo. But can you imagine somebody like you're doing Dead Man wrong? Like Dead. What are you comparing it to? Like,
Right. Yeah.
you compare it to the massive bulk of Dead Man. Like Dead Man's got a lot of stuff. Don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, but it's not like you did Constantine wrong. It's not like
Hmm.
there's not like these are minor Demon. It's like okay, I guess you could do Demon wrong, but if they don't make him rhyme, who's going to really be mad about that? Like I
Right.
hope he doesn't rhyme. I can only read so much rhyme. You know what I mean? The rhyme is
Yep.
cool, but I can only deal with it for so long. Like let's not do the rhyme anymore. Don't be mad if they don't do that. It's
Hmm.
better.
Hmm.
Um, so that it's just an interesting thing about fandom, and sometimes everyone's somebody's favorite. Though I don't know if that's true. I used to always think that was true.
Hmm.
But do you think like Rocket Racer is legitimately like somebody's favorite? Like
Yeah, that's the
probably it might
thing.
be though, right? It might
Maybe.
be, right? Like I love D-Man, so I can't say anything. What do I know?
Yeah, you mentioned off panel, and David, he's a big Stiltman
Still
guy. So
man,
I
yeah.
guess I think Stiltman's got a little bit of a bigger audience, but still, like, yeah, that,
Mm.
that, that might be true. But yeah, with any sort of fandom, and you mentioned wrestling, I'm a big wrestling fan as well, and
Yeah,
it's just like
same.
any type of, gosh, that might be worse than comics though, I think. But I don't know. It's just I cannot imagine. I
Mm.
can see like having opinions, and it's a way to kind of engage, but there are some questionable things that people put online. It's like, I don't know how you could take a moment out of your day to like
Yeah,
talk
it's
about it this
inexplicable.
way.
Both
I
of
don't.
those now have tribalism in them that's adding to the fervor of how like obnoxious it can be, the fandom.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm not like a big Star Wars person. That's another one that's pretty bad. That goes across again. That's movies, comics, shows. That's everything I said, I guess. But yeah, it's crazy. It is like I'm a big like figure collector. So like I'm into like the toy communities. Even that, it's like people are freaking out because this
Of the joints, the
yes,
wrong
yes.
joint.
Yeah, the joint's wrong. This paint is slightly inaccurate to the event. I'm like, I get it, but it's like, oh my, we have bigger things that we could probably worry about, I think, here.
Isn't it nicer to have these things? I mean, if they're
Yeah.
outright bad, but there's a nitpickery. I just feel like we're supposed to be having fun,
Yeah.
though. I will say, as a wrestling fan, I also think it's their responsibility to make sure I have some fun, and I don't think they always do that. Though I think
Right.
that's true of comics too.
Yeah.
I think that's true of comics often too, where it's just like it feels like it's McDonald's maybe
Hmm.
a little too often, and I don't know if that's the publisher or editorial. Like who's to
Hmm.
blame for that?
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
know. There's too
Yeah.
many. There's too many.
Yeah.
Maybe there's too many.
That's the thing that I think is like for anybody to stand out in pretty much anything entertainment wise. It's like while people have, some people have disposable income to spend on lots of different things. Some people don't. You have to pick and choose, and there's so many options for any form of, not just in comics, but any form of entertainment. It's like, how does anybody stand out? That's the part that I feel like is such an uphill battle. It's so if you make any sort of mark, that's quite the achievement, I think, for anybody, and regardless if it's social media, if it is comics, if it's whatever. It's hard to do.
Yeah, I still think it's word of mouth. I think for music, even for movies, for comics, for wrestlers,
Mhm.
um, I think it's still word of mouth. Like doing good matters. Obviously, like you have to be doing good.
Mhm.
You have to make something, even if it's not good, it has to be interesting or entertaining. But I think word of mouth is king, and like I said, that's why I'll do these podcasts because if I can get
Mhm.
one person to read something and be like, "Oh, have you read this? Have you read Where
Mhm.
Monsters Lie? You like monsters? It's awesome."
Mhm.
Um, that's the game. Like that's the
Mhm.
game, and I think it's true. Like I think of there's some guys who are if your first book or your first thing is a staggering work of genius, then you're undeniable, right? Like Rom V is undeniable. Like
Mhm.
there was no point where we thought, oh man, I wonder if this guy's gonna make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Um, like or like, but I think man, like I think what's going on with like Javon and Trick and Oba, I think that's word of
Mhm.
mouth. I
Mhm.
think it's word of mouth because the word of mouth is from the like I knew Javon before NXT,
Mhm.
but I think like I love NXT. It's
Mhm.
probably one of my favorite. It's the one thing I try not to miss outside of some weird YouTube ones.
Sure.
Um, but like I also think if you see him, it's tough
Mhm.
to go, oh, he's great. But having people say like, you guys see this guy, you guys see this guy,
Mhm.
is huge in wrestling.
Mhm.
It's huge with promotions. I know
Mhm.
someone. I'll just this is my favorite wrestling. Is like I watch JCW. I watch Juggalo Championship Wrestling. It's free.
Yep.
It's on Thursdays an hour.
Mhm.
And I I had heard Vince Russo was booking it, so I watched it. I think I was like I should check it out. I should check it out. And then I was on one of these podcasts talking about wrestling specifically, and the guy was like, "I'm gonna tell you I watch JCW," and I was like, "I'll check it out." And because like someone who seemed like they knew what they were talking about said you should check this out, I checked it out. And was it free? Makes it easier? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that better than
Mhm.
$5?
Mhm.
100%. 100%. It's better. It's easier to try something free than not free. All my books are on Hoopla, by the way. That's a library app. You can read them for
Mhm.
free. But like word of mouth matters. Validation matters. It doesn't matter how good you are.
Mhm.
Someone has to say, "Have you checked this out? It's good. Have you checked this out?
Mhm.
It's good. Have you heard?
Mhm.
Have you read any of this guy's stuff? It's good." And I
Mhm.
think that the with social media going weird,
Mhm.
when comics were at their best, it was people in the comic shop and people in the schoolyards. Like it was people
Yep.
just talking about. I always use the example of like I would never have known about Punisher and the jet ski if someone didn't tell me about Punisher and the
Mhm.
jet ski. And like, thank God they did. Thank God I know about Punisher and the jet. I never would have known that.
Mhm.
But it used to be like that was the word of mouth. And I worked at a comic shop for 8 years, and I remember like when New Warriors came out. I remember when
Mhm.
Thunderbolts came out. Is that anyone who bought something else that I liked? I was like, "Have you checked out New Warriors?" And Thunderbolts, it was like if anyone had a superhero comic where like you have to go back and get Thunderbolts #1, like
Mhm.
it's going to blow your mind. You're not going to believe what happens.
Mhm.
But it used to be a lot more than. There's certainly stores are still hand selling. Like there's no question about that. But I think in 2017 there was a very enthusiastic social community about comics. We were
Mhm.
very positive about it. And there was a lot of, "Have you read this? Have you read this? Have you read this?" And with new stuff coming, especially with so much, stores, there's no way they have time to read all 30
Mhm.
comics every week before the next day. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like, well,
Mhm.
how do you do it? And I think a lot of it, for better or for worse, is what's your name recognition. And your name
Mhm.
recognition is going to be decided by people talking about your work and by
Mhm.
stores promoting your work.
Mhm.
And that's the only way it's going to happen, unless you make a staggering work of genius.
Mhm.
But it's not going to happen. Like
Mhm.
that's not realistic for most of us,
Mhm.
um, who are just making good work. I think Tony's a perfect example. Like Tony has figured out what he did with Stray Dogs and those variants. I don't, and I talked to him about it. I don't know how he did it, and he told me how he did it, but I don't know how it worked. And it's like,
Mhm.
was it like, I'm sure the concept, this Disney serial killer thing is like, that's just good
Mhm.
enough. It's
Sure.
like, I don't know. I've heard a lot of good pitches that didn't do super well. Um, so it's like, I don't know. Like, is that it? That it just in the moment it was perfect? Is it? But I think it's because so many retailers did those variants. You have to hand sell it. You
Mhm.
have to hand sell it because you have all these copies to sell, right?
Mhm.
And you got these because you like the book and because you thought you could sell them,
Mhm.
because it's this easy pitch. Like there's all these little things, but because of that, Tony ingratiated himself with a ton of retailers.
Mhm.
And if you can get the retailers on your side, if you can get podcasters on your side, I think
Mhm.
there's a handful that of big ones, because people come
Mhm.
up to me like, "Oh, I know you from my fanboys are War Rocket Ajax or
Mhm.
Off Panel or whatever." And
Mhm.
you're like, "Yeah, that's dope. Thanks, guys." Because that's
Mhm.
literally the best I can ask for is for someone who has any platform at all to
Mhm.
say, when you're talking about things you like, and you go, "Oh, would you go, what are you reading?" And you go, "Oh, you should check out this. You should check out this." Like,
Mhm.
but I think that's it. You have to be validated. And then, of course, when a lot of people say something's very good, of course, 1/3 have to go, "No, it's not that good." You're like,
Mhm.
"Okay, that's fair." And then I'm
Sure.
mad about it. It's like, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think, and when you were on, I think 'cause I mentioned off panel, I would love to talk to David at some point too. But anyway,
He's the best.
um, yeah, he seems like a super cool guy.
Hmm.
I think that's when I learned about your work the first time because you've been on his show. I don't know
Once
what.
a year, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
three
it's
years,
been
maybe 3 4 years.
so I'm like, I think that's when I think that led to again me looking at your stuff, and so there is definitely like there's power to that, and again I don't know about how. I mean, he's got a pretty big show, obviously, but yeah, those are the things that, like, again, to me, that happens to me pretty often, where I hear somebody on a podcast, and it's like, yeah, I don't maybe know who the person is, but I know the show, so I'll listen to the show, and like, okay, if they're having them on, this is probably going to be pretty good, and
Hmm.
it leads into like, oh, I've discovered this whole new thing, or discovered this person's work, and there's a back catalog where I could look at things even if it's not just the current stuff. But so yeah, that is super cool. And speaking of new books, like you've been working on like Wrestle Heist, and that's one that is so right up my alley that I did not know
Hmm.
was even coming. Like I totally missed it. Like I knew that it was a thing after I missed like the first
Yeah.
probably couple issues. And now I'm like trying to go back and find copies. I looked at my shop and they don't have anything. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to
Number one
go.
sold out. Number one sold out for sure. I don't know. All 4 issues sold out. And I was hoping to
Yep.
sell those sketch covers for a while, but
Hmm.
I only got what I got. Look, and I wish that was a huge flex. It didn't. No,
Hmm.
it wasn't ordered very high.
Hmm.
Was it because it was Christmas? I don't know. I don't know.
Mhm.
Did I not promote it as well as I could have? Did I just miss the speculator boom by 1 month? There's all these there's all these things. Um, who knows? I feel like if I have very few regrets in this industry, which is I think tough to say, or maybe not. Maybe it's easy to say, but it's hard to be making comics for something like 13 years now,
Mhm.
9 of them professionally. That I don't really have any regrets. The one
Mhm.
regret I had was that Rock Candy Mountain was 2 volumes, and that's
Mhm.
been corrected. That was corrected in 2024. They put in 1 volume.
Mhm.
Um, but I think if I could change one thing that hasn't been changed is that I would have waited till after End of Life to do Wrestle Heist.
Sure.
I would just it was done, and that's when it comes out. Like to me, I didn't,
Mhm.
and that's what goes to the very first question you asked me is like,
Mhm.
how did you figure out the industry or what? Man, I don't like everything's wrong. Um, could it have sold better? Would it have sold better after End of Life? I bet it would have sold 1,000 more. You know what I mean? Like that's
Mhm.
pretty good.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's like it's weird. It's weird when something sells out and you know what the numbers were.
Mhm.
Is to be like, I think that's good, but also it's awful. Because that means I'm in a situation where I am desperately hoping when August, I think that's right, when August comes around, people
Mhm.
are like Wrestle Heist, and I'm going to have to figure out how to be very proactive for that. But
Mhm.
again, my reach is my reach. I
Mhm.
can only go so far. It's like it's only going to go so far, and hope that other people talk about it or they remember they were interested in it, but they couldn't get it, so maybe they'll try
Yeah.
it now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was I did a bad job and so the orders were low. If it was too close to Christmas, because it was, I think it
Mhm.
was the week before Christmas. That's a bad
Mhm.
time.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I should have waited 2 months, but what can you do?
But it's hard when it's like, yeah, it's hard to put something on hold. It's like if it's done, it's done, and that's the thing that I think is probably pretty difficult too. Because like while it's in hindsight, it's like, oh, I could have done this or that, but it's like, how do you really know until you do it? Of like, you can take your best shot, but
Well, I think with something like that, someone wiser than me would be like I've had a couple in my day. I've had a couple days where I've had like 3. I think one time I had 4 books come out on the same Wednesday, and when it happened 5 years ago, I was like, "That's awesome. That's
Mhm.
so cool. I have 5 books out. That's awesome." In 2026, I had 3 books, and I go, "Oh, that's my 3 books versus the absolute line. Wait, hold on, this is bad. Like they should have been spread out somehow. But I know that the people who love me, they're gonna buy. They're only. I don't like $5. They're gonna spend $12 on me, right?
Mhm.
Or they'll get
Mhm.
one next week. I know they'll get it. I know they'll get it.
Mhm.
But when you're um, one of these, I'm gonna say new kids, though they're not all kids, but one of these new kids
Mhm.
to comics who are going in and they're literally doing the thing that we had to do, or I had to do 30 plus years ago, 40 years
Mhm.
ago, which was you just look at what's on the shelf and you go,
Yeah.
okay, I'll try capture. Like there's only 12 things or whatever. I'll try this out.
Mhm.
Where they're going in and they're getting, I'm going to get Absolute Batman, I'm going to get Absolute Wonder Woman, I'm going to get Exquisite Corpses apparently. And then they're looking to see what's interesting. If your book's
Mhm.
gone, they can't get it.
Mhm.
If you have one option they might take a stab at, I feel like that's beneficial. Someone's listening is going to go, he's wrong. And I know probably, but to me, if you're going in and you have, I have $25, I don't know if you're just trying out, if you're just looking for things to read, you would try 3 by the same author. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Even if they're
Mhm.
3 very different books. So I feel like 5 years ago, I thought it was awesome.
Mhm.
And this year I was like, I should try to avoid that in the future if I can. I should try to figure out how to avoid that. But that's the type of thing where you start sitting in work or the work starts coming in and you don't know when the publisher is going to put it out, and
Mhm.
I certainly don't go, well, let me get a calendar out and
Mhm.
make sure, like, let me figure 4 weeks. Like, I have no idea. I'm just so
Mhm.
excited when things come out, so I have very little patience for those types of things. So
Yeah.
if Image says you can do a book, I'm going to do it and then send it in and be like, let's
Let's
go.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. I want to get on to the next thing. I don't want to be, it's tough to, the benefit of Image is that it is easier to promote because it's so right now. Like um uh, I'm doing like trade dress right now for the trade,
Mhm.
because I put way too much work into the back pattern and stuff of this book, so the trade has to have it too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's like, oh well, the 5th issue comes out in a couple of weeks. Like I can be very active because I'm thinking about it. The thing is, like I've never stopped thinking about Wrestle Heist,
Mhm.
because I made it and I was still finishing it when the first issue. I was on 3 or 4, I can't remember. So it's one of those things where it's like it's very active. And that's the great thing
Yeah.
about Image is it's not when um it's pretty good, right? I mean, look, I wrote End of Life #1 2 years ago. I wrote
Oh,
it two
wow.
years
Okay.
ago. I thought it was going to come out April of last year,
Mhm.
and it's like I love that book. I'm so proud of that book, but I would have done a better job talking about it when I was in the middle of
Oh yeah.
actively writing it. Yeah, yeah. So it's one of those things like you go, oh, and that's the other. So that makes it hard to promote. It's hard to be when you have a lot of books like I have, especially 2 years ago. I'm promoting a lot of different things. It's like,
Mhm.
how do you? There's too much. Like, it's better if you probably only have one or two things to sort of focus in on. But also, like, I need money, so I have to make books.
You gotta do it. Gotta do it.
Yeah, do it.
How did End of Life? I mean, especially I know like that was a pretty big. I think a lot of fans were pretty excited when they announced that okay, Vertigo's coming back.
Mhm.
And so, how did that come to be? Is working on that book? You and Steve.
Yeah, I mean the short version. The short version. There's two parts to it. One, it's sort of a response to Vertigo came back sort of as a response to. There's a lot of reasons why it came back, but one of them was is that retailers had said to DC that one of the problems with the current market was there wasn't any ongoings with the same teams. They wanted their sort of Claremont Burns, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true, but I think I love that DC goes, we'll try. And so
Mhm.
what they did is they wanted to make sure that they had teams that they knew liked each other
Mhm.
and would maybe want to co-create an ongoing type thing.
Mhm.
And two is that especially for that first wave, they wanted books that they would like. Like
Mhm.
they wanted teams. So um, Chris Conroy, who's the executive editor of App, Vertigo, obviously, but he's
Mhm.
Black Label and I think
Mhm.
Elseworlds, and he does a bunch of stuff for Absolute too. But he's not
Mhm.
above. I don't think he's above Elseworlds either, but he's above Black Label, and they love Peacemaker. Like they
Mhm.
love Peacemaker, and I think Steve and I made something great. I think we made something timeless, honestly, and I say that
Mhm.
humbly. I say it objectively.
Mhm.
So when they were doing it, I'm sure there was like, well, we didn't have a single problem with those two guys. I'm sure that was also a factor. But I think that they really like the work that we have unique voices, that we would make something that no one else was making, which I think is true of
Mhm.
most of my books, for better or for worse, right? For better or for worse.
Mhm.
And that's why, like, if you were like, let's get some teams together, I'd be like, you got to get Condon Phillips. Like to me, I think they're such a great duo. I think they're really Brubaker Phillips. They're the second coming in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. I think those guys are going to do really really great things. So why not get their favorite idea? Um, and Dennis is fine, right? We all agree Dennis is struggling his way through the whole thing. But I think the Dennis one's the most interesting because they just had one book. They just had 20. They
Mhm.
had, what, a 4-issue series.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it was really like these are the teams that we think will work together that make interesting things that are not like other things that we like, and because they seem to like each other, they'll do it for a long time. So that was really the thing, and that's why it's all pre-existing teams, um, because the goal is for I think 3/4 of these books, if not more, is to be ongoing. So I got it because of
Mhm.
Peacemaker. Like I said, good work begets good work. Sex Castle got me Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty got me a lot of things. Sex Castle got me a lot of things. It's
Mhm.
got me Rock Candy Mountain, which got me a lot of things. Good work begets good work. I do feel like I'm the oddest choice out of everybody. Everybody who's in Vertigo, but I think it's such an immense honor. And to me, I'm so old when I think of Vertigo. I think, oh, you take an old DC character and you make them cooler.
Mhm.
But the truth of it is, like, Vertigo has really been more creator owned than anything else through its
Yeah.
own length. And I think the the truest thing about all of them is that they were not like anything else on the shelves, and
Mhm.
that they let those creators cook, and that's 100% what me and Steve are doing. We're making something that no one else is making.
Mhm.
If there is, I couldn't tell you what it is. I think it's Preacher-esque, honestly, and it's a little bit funnier maybe. But the humor isn't. It's not a comedy book. It's to me. I say today that I was kind of annoyed about some of the covers, honestly, because they kind of push into comedy more than I wish they would. Because while the book is humorous, I mean, it is about a guy trying to hide from a bunch of people trying to kill him while his
Mhm.
dad dies from stage 4 cancer. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how funny that situation is, um, but like, I like things the way I like things, and I think they should have everything in them, and that includes humor.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's easier to like someone so unlikable if they're
Mhm.
also sort of comically stupid. Not that Eddie, the main character, is necessarily super stupid, but he's kind of
Mhm.
super stupid. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's
Right.
kind of like he might be good at like directions. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Mhm.
know, but like he doesn't understand. He's so self-involved. I think it's the type of thing, and I think of Peacemaker. It's like we came from Peacemaker. Is that Peacemaker sucked, but he was self-aware about it
Mhm.
and yearned to be better. And sort of the thing with Eddie is like Eddie sucks and isn't self-aware yet. But I think when he becomes self-aware, when he though he's so stubborn, he might resist it. But it's one of those things where it's like, well, yeah, he's really unlikable, but it's in a funny way. But also that veneers, it can't stick. It just can't, because now he's surrounded by this town of really charming, likable people who actually like think there's good in the world, and eventually that's going to sway him, even though literally everyone on Earth is trying to kill him. So he might be too busy to really see or learn any of those lessons. But yeah, so that's how we got it. I mean, we got it because they like Peacemaker. I should just do it the short version, but I like this one where it's like there's a lot of steps for them to decide that me and Steve would do a good job. But I do think like what an honor, what a crazy. I can't think of, and I know there have been like another really humorous Vertigo series that was intentionally because I think Preacher has really funny parts. And I know there are some. I know I'm blanking on them, but like, what an honor to maybe be like one of the first like sort of humor leaning books. Why I don't know why they picked me. I remember like before it came out, I had a meeting, or I saw Chris Conroy at San Diego Comic-Con, and I've gone twice. So it was the one time I was there, and this was before Dennis became Dennis. So this would have been like a year and a half ago. And I said, look, I know these books are good because I know Condon and Phillips' book is good. I know my book is good. And we hadn't seen Bleeding Hearts at the time. I didn't know anything about it, which is ironic because he's the one who's done the best out of all these people. But I was like, are we concerned like that? Like, could we not get Scott Snyder to do one of these, or Tom King, or Ram V? Like, could we not get like a name? Because Tinian's there, but it wasn't a new Tinian series. It was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, it'll be fine. And I was like, oh my god, like why? And I say sincerely, like, retailers have no real good reason to be like, whoa, Kyle Starks is doing Vertigo. There's no, whoa, Steve Pugh's done every iteration of Vertigo. Like, he's been around so long. They don't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like Condon had That Texas Blood and Enfield Gang Massacre, and that's basically it, which are super great. He did a wrestling book too called Hell is a Squared Circle, which I recommend if you haven't read. It's just a one shot. I think he's great, but it's like, why would a retailer be excited, like really excited about this? And you go, it's kind of like a test wave. It's like, yeah, but what if they started Absolute with like Booster Gold and like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like you don't know these guys, like you don't know these guys, but we're gonna like so. Dennis, like the things that happened to Dennis was, I think, really good for Vertigo, for people to care, because now it's Tinian and Dennis Camp, and Dennis Camp, I think, arguably is him. And it's between him and Scott Snyder, who is the most important writer of this year. It's probably Scott Snyder important, but who is I don't know. That's a tough neck and neck.
That is.
He had such a huge breakout that we benefited from that, because now you're like, oh, there's a reason to care about the series, because obviously they have good taste, and you hope people think that, because again, it's all about being validated. It's all about being validated. So that's how I got it. I've written 10 of 12 guaranteed issues. I think all 10 issues are great. It's an ongoing. I'm writing it like it's an ongoing. There aren't arcs. Sorry, guys. I mean, I do try to kind of wrap things at 6 because of the trades, and I don't want that to be weird, because I did that with Rock Candy Mountain, which is why I wished it was 2 trade or 1 trade instead of 2. So you do want to give people kind of a reason to keep going or to set up another arc, but like they're not 6-issue stories. Like, there's not arcs. Like, I'm doing like an ongoing, and my favorite ongoings were kind of like every issue is a new episode. You know what I mean? And there's kind of, or like Buffy, kind of Buffy style, where there's like, maybe there's a big boss, but there's a bunch of little stuff as you get there. And that's how I like it. Like, that's how I like them. And I was told to write like an ongoing, so I'm writing like an ongoing, which means it will probably end abruptly at some point.
How do you, and when you guys were getting direction on this series, since it is like Vertigo's coming back, and it is maybe treated a little bit more like, hey, this is, well, it's not creator owned, but it's kind of that more
It is,
in
yeah,
that.
but it is creator owned.
Okay.
Sort
So
of.
what is the, like the direction that you guys got for the book, and how much oversight is there on that?
I don't get a lot of notes. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know what to say. Like, I don't get a lot of notes. I usually have a phone call with Matt Levine, who's the assistant editor, who's I simply adore him. I rarely get notes that are like, you should do this, or you should, like, that's not how they do it. That's not how we do it with Peacemaker. I think I'm pretty good at this. I say, again, humbly, I say objectively, where I don't think I'm giving work that needs to be fixed or needs to be considering different directions. Again, I'm jinxing it right now. I know I am. But for this, like, every note that I got was additive to make the story tighter. It was never like, what if this, what if that. I've never gotten notes like that. I've never in my life I've never asked for notes like that. So this is a creator-owned book. Here's the thing, like Peacemaker, Black Label, they don't care. It's technically maybe not even. Sometimes it's canonical, it's adult canonical, or it's not canonical. Peacemaker is non-canonical, right? So I can do whatever I want. So what note are they going to give me? Like I misused, Mala in the brain. Like they don't care. What else have I done? Wild Dog. Like no one cares about Wild Dog. I could do whatever I wanted to do. I'm forgetting a DC thing. It doesn't matter. So I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky. Like they've just let me cook, and that's kind of the Vertigo motto, right? Like we want these creative people to do their creative stories, and I know I can remember instances of talking with peers where they're like, I can't wait to talk to my editor about it. And I'm like, what? Like I was like, really? It's like, oh yeah, I love to bounce ideas off of them, and I was like, really? Like I like it when it's all my idea. But that's just different creativities. Like it's just different creativities, and so I'm sure some people who have done these, I'm sure some people who are working on these books have different relationships with them. But for the most part, like Steve doesn't even send in pencils. Like Steve just sends in inks. So I think like it's a very tight, efficient duo, and Steve doesn't miss. Like I no joke, when you get to around probably issue like 7, I realized how good he is at just making characters. So I just start making up, like there's several characters, like who I'm like I just made it up, and I just wanted to see what he would draw, and it's always perfect. I've literally done. I was telling someone this the other day, and this is kind of like, I'm not doing a bit. This is hard facts. He's for sure drawn 9 issues of End of Life, and we did 5 issues of Peacemaker. I think that's right. It might have been 6. I can't even remember. Let's say it was 5. It might have been 6. Who knows? Who knows numbers? So we've done 15 issues of comics together, which is 15 times 22. I've never had to give him a note. I've never been like, oh no, not one time, not even like, oh, I don't think that's the right gun. You know what I mean? Like at no point in time have I, not a single one. And that's because he's such a professional, and he's so good at knowing what I'm saying, which is again because he's such a professional. And he's just so good at his job. And I think, especially if you're an editor, if you have 2 guys who don't cause problems, who are always putting up pretty good work, I'd say BB plus. If not we aim for A's. We think we get A's. A couple of them are A's. I think issue 3's an A. I think 1's an A plus. I said it. I'll say it again. I think issue 1 was an A plus. Is that I think it's easy you don't have to babysit. Like you just let them go, and that's the whole thing with Vertigo. Is I'm not doing in what they call mainline. I'm just gonna keep saying Booster Gold because I'm trying to manifest it. Justice Gang. Why didn't I do a Justice thing? Come on, guys. Is that it's different because there is historical things that matter, and like you can't use this character because I'm making up characters. What are they gonna say? Like Big Cock, who appears at the end of issue 2, like Big Cock's like, he's not like that. I'm like, I decide what he's like. I'm in charge. They're my guys. Like I know exactly what they're like. Like they can make suggestions to make them better, though. They didn't. Like that's mine. I like that's mine. So I'm gonna tell you, like, and I bet Felice said the same thing. Is that DC has been, and everything I've done with them. I've done 2 other things. I'm blanking on them. Oh, we did Harley Quinn. We did a Harley Quinn 1-shot. I did a Batgirl 1-shot. And I did something else that I really enjoyed. That's going to bother me. Maybe there isn't another one. Maybe I'm thinking of End of Life and Peacemaker. Is that it's been a dream. They put me in a position to do works that they know they're my kind of books. And I think if someone was like, I don't think I can do space opera. And I say that, and I'm Timu James Gunn, who's very good at space opera, obviously. But I'm very character. And I think very street level. Like those are the kind of, like if someone was like, "Hey, we want you to do Green Lantern," I'd be like, buddy, I don't know what that is. Like I can't. It's too many characters, and I'm so character driven, and usually that means we want to focus on just a couple guys. But I think that if they were like, "Hey, we want you to do Green Lantern," they'd be like, "We want you to do Absolute Nord." You know what I mean? Like it would be like
right.
clearly. Oh, Matt, the DC Matt thing that just came out.
Yes.
Was super fun. Like super fun. So DC's been a dream. I rarely. Usually people let me cook, and when they don't, I don't understand it. Though I do also know, like for licensed books, like it's their thing. Like there is like, but when I do a licensed book, like I'm thinking about those fans. I did a one shot Thanos thing for Marvel. I didn't do Kyle Stark's Thanos. Who gives a shit? I like, what's the coolest Thanos story? Or Lobo. Lobo is the one I'm forgetting about. Lobo was a dream. Lobo Cancellation Special was sold out. Was a dream. And like, I did Peacemaker. This is why I should do Guy Gardner next. Lobo, Guy Gardner. You know what I mean? Lobo, Peacemaker, Wild Dog. It's like they were like, oh, he's really good at these sort of violent dummies. It's like, yeah, I'm the best at violent dummies. I'm great at violent dummies. But they just let me cook. And it's like, well, they didn't ask me to do, Far Sector. I could never. I'm not smart. I'm not dumb, but like that's smart guy stuff, and that's not what I do. So yeah, they just let me cook, man. That's the long answers that have short answers, probably.
No, I love the long answers. And you mentioned like how kind of Peacemaker was treated the same way. This is kind of like a alt and left field question, but what was the decision in Peacemaker to use the demolition team?
Any character that's in, it's super easy.
Okay.
I thought this might be the only DC book I ever get to do. And so Mondra, like, why are Maul and the Brain the villain? Because they're my favorite DC villains. I love Maul and the Brain. I'm a big Grant Morrison Doom Patrol guy. I love Maul and the Brain. Why was Snowflame in there? I might only get to do one book. Why was Kimmo in there? I thought I might only get to do a book. And I wanted original OG, just plastic man, like blank plastic man who spits out of a circle in his mouth. I wanted it to be him because I think it's so hilarious, but also he's like legitimately terrifying. Almost every choice was, some of it for Peacemaker was I'm blanking. General Immortus. I love General Immortus. I'm a Grant Morrison Doom Patrol guy, right? So I love General. So a lot of it's like, I love these characters. Or, I mean, I'll tell you, like Demolition. What are they called? They're not called. They're called.
I think they're Demolition Team, aren't they?
Demolition Team. I'll tell you. Here's why I chose Demolition Team though. Is two parts. One, I love DC's Who's Who. Marvel's Handbook. I'm a Grunwald guy, but I love, and DC's like has so much history. You've just never seen any of these guys. I didn't know until probably like 6 years ago even whose villain they were. Like I didn't even know. I'd never seen them in a comic. Like I'd never seen them in a comic. And why would you? One guy drives a steamroller. Like it's not a fast steamroller. It's just a normal steamroller. I guess it could steamroll more things than a normal steamroller. But it's like I thought they were funny. Like I thought not so much. I thought it was like, what is this? But like I worked in unions. My dad was a union guy. I worked in warehouses for my whole life, And so it's also like, well, these are good jokes. These are good bits. But yeah, almost because like, oh, why did you use Snowflame? Because I thought it might be the only time. Why is there a Blackwing joke? Because that might be the only time I get to make this black. Like all these jokes. Like why Red Bee? Red Bee, because the same. Like I loved him in DC's Who's Who. I never saw him in a comic, but I thought for this, I wanted someone who looked ridiculous, who wasn't, and that could be anybody because it's non-canonical. But I always liked Red Bee, and always like, what are the worst superpowers? It's like, what if you could control a single
bee? I never thought I would ever care so much about Red Bee, without giving any spoilers. But
yeah, our Michael the Bee, and that's also like it's all. I mean, all those characters were chosen for story purposes, but because of the nature to me of what a superhero comic is that you fight different guys each issue. Those are the best ones. Like you don't fight the same guy for 6 issues. Like it's boring. I went different guys, so it's like, well, who are those guys? What is the situation? How does that forward the story? Because that's the most important thing, is what do I want people to feel through this sort of roller coaster, and what it takes to do that roller coaster. So it was them. It could have been anybody, but I thought that's funny. And it helps also for stuff like that because they sort of have a regular job. The same way Snowflame has like such a specific thing, which is cocaine, and there's not a lot of cocaine superhero stuff. There's not a lot of construction/union superhero stuff. Is that it's really easy to make jokes for those because they've never been heard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so that matters too. Like the thing where they test whether or not the trap's going to work by dropping cats into it, like a bag of cats. Like, I think that's hilarious. I couldn't have done that if they were just like the Rogues Gallery. You know what I mean? Like, it's different jokes, and some of it is like these are very easy jokes. But I think also because Peacemaker to me is sort of, he's not, but to me he's very blue collar sort of superhero where you just put the time in and you kind of either do it or you don't. Like there's no Deus Ex Machina. Like you don't have laser beams. Nothing's going to save you. So I think having guys who are equally workmanlike are the best sort of antagonist to him.
Yeah, and Peacemaker, it's one of the, like you said, just one of those things that I think is going to be timeless and just like an evergreen book you can
I hope
pick up
so.
at any point. And it's and anyone that hasn't checked that out, I know it's been out for a few years, but check it out. It's good stuff. And
It's back in stores now, so
yeah.
Yeah.
And I just could not, like, I just heard John Cena's voice in my head. That's just so hard not to hear and see him as Peacemaker now, that it's just like he just nails that role so well that it's just like,
and he made it. He is the role. Him and James Gunn are the role.
yeah.
Anything that existed before, no one cared about.
No,
sorry, Copperberg. Sorry.
At this point, it just doesn't matter. Well, before I let you go, Kyle, I wanted to ask you at least one or two wrestling questions too. Because again, I'm a huge wrestling fan too. So, I knew that you were a wrestling fan, but I don't really know exactly what you follow. Like you mentioned JCW, trying that out. So what do you follow at this point? What do you watch?
I mean, because of bandwidth and because because of the tribalism, you have to be very careful. But I'm a huge my three favorite times in wrestling. My three favorite periods of wrestling are the Attitude, especially the first half of the Attitude Era, Chikara and Lucha Underground. And Chikara is what brought me back into wrestling really, because I was like, oh, you can do anything, just like comics, comics. You can do anything, and it's so nice to see people experiment, and it's high quality, and it's thoughtful, and it's well done. Anyway, so those are my favorites. I'm a story guy. I'd rather watch bad wrestling with really good stories than watch 5 great matches. I love great matches. I do, but it's like I'm a writer. I like stories. I'm here for my soap operas. So that being said, I stepped away from AEW because of some really confused. This was a while ago too, unfortunately. Like I'd say, I could tell you when. It's right before Tony became Tony Storm. It's right before she became.
Okay.
Whatever week that was. That was a week where I was like, I've had enough. And it was also whenever they just suddenly quit booking the Acclaim. That was where I was like, I can't understand it. But I love Chikara, and there were so many Chikara wrestlers. Like we love Orange Cassidy, we love Brody Lee, we love Eddie Kingston. Anyone from Chikara is my guy. So I'm not watching AEW, but I do pay attention to the results because I am very interested in it, and I do like all those guys. But I'm mostly doing WWE, which at this point Raw and SmackDown. If I miss them, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I try not to ever miss NXT because I think NXT does. I just wrote this post. I wrote a free post on my Patreon about what I'm watching right now, or where you can watch free good wrestling. And the thing is, here's what I want. I want them to clearly be trying to entertain me. I want them to be telling me some kind of story, and it doesn't matter if they do it good. Like good is the third thing. I just want to have fun. That's the fourth thing, right? I just want to have fun. So that being said, NXT, everyone has a story. Is it a good story? Not always. Is every one of those guys clearly trying to entertain me? Yes. Is it in some regards like a High School Musical where it's sometimes really bad? Yes. Yeah. But they're always trying to entertain me. And you can tell from top to bottom, everyone wants me to have a good time, because if I have a good time, it makes them look great, right? And because of that, I watch NXT. Even though I think today NXT is a little down. I still watch it. I don't miss it. And then I'll put Raw on while I'm working. I'll put SmackDown on while I'm working. But I really enjoy JCW, which is an hour. It's free. It's silly. There's a tag team that's zombie brothers called The Outbreak. They're actually zombies. They're fighting Cocaine and Stephen Flow, whose entrance theme is Pearl Jam's Even Flow, but it says Stephen Flow. And Cocaine gave the zombies cocaine, and they reacted curiously to it. And it's like, listen, I'm in. Oh wait, it's only a little juggalo, and so when Shaggy Two Dope or whatever shows up, it's kind of more interesting than cringy. And the only juggalo wrestler is a guy named Too Tough Tony, who pours liquor, and it's some
yes, I've seen this.
It's not even a good liquor. It's not like he's pouring vodka. I can't remember what it is. It's like garlic rum or something.
Yeah.
And he looks like your uncle. Like he's there's only one juggalo. Otherwise, it's like, can these guys wrestle good? Are they gonna put on a good match? Probably not. Matt Cross is on there. Matt Cross, who we love, who's getting older, but you're not really PCO's on it. But they also they always have a guest star like Nick Namath, Mr. Anderson, John Moore. So they do these. There's constantly these guest stars in the story live now. But every character has a story. Vince Russo is booking it, and it's not WCW Vince Russo. It's just having fun, no ego Vince Russo. And because of that, is it great? I don't know. But does it give me a story? Yes. Are they trying to entertain me? Yes. Is it fun? Yes. So I watch JCW. I think if you go, Kyle, that's really interesting, but I'm not going to watch Juggalos. I go, that's fair. That's fair. You're like, I still hate Vince Russo because of WCW and TNA. Like, that's fair. That's fair. I suggest that you watch AAA, which is also free on YouTube on Saturdays. It does everything I want a wrestling show to do. All those things it does well. I just like it when there's a zombie brother. Like, I like it when it's a little silly.
Yeah.
And AAA gives me Mr. Iguana and La Parka, but it's still wrestling. Like, it's not silly. There's never going to be anyone teleporting, or there's never going to be someone with a laser gun. And in JCW, who knows what's going to happen at any point in time. And I like that sort of stretching what you can do in wrestling. So those are like probably the three: NXT, AAA, JCW. If I miss those, and I do because I'm busy or I'm traveling, I go, oh shit, I get to watch 2 episodes. Whereas if I missed like last week's, whenever I was traveling, SmackDown, I haven't watched it. It's gone. Like you know what, nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like nothing happened. And I like someone this week was like, did you watch Raw yet? Yesterday. What is today? Tuesday? Today's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
They're like, did you watch Raw? And I'm like, oh, I watched it. I'm watching it this morning. And they're like, oh, tell me when you're done. Nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm like, what? And I was like, what do you want to talk about? He's like, oh, Liz got her head bumped. And I was like, oh yeah, that's true. I will tell you also, because I'm here to promote Gear Wrestling, is that Evil Uno put the first 12 episodes of Mystery Wrestling up. They are a delight. They are fun. If you're an AEW guy, there's AEW guys on there, and they're just comedy wrestling, but they are comedy wrestling done perfectly. They're always funny. There's an ongoing arc with a character named Psycho Mike. That's so good. There's an ongoing arc with a guy who's maybe dead. There's a Sasquatch. It's so fun. And I just discovered something called Super Wrestlers, which there's supposedly 12 episodes. I've only found 5. I watched all 5 in about 24 hours. And it's basically Chikara. There's like this He-Man cross Turnia situation where there's an evil king, and the main title is a piece of space junk that grants a power to whoever holds it. And it varies what that power is. The guy who's a ring announcer also books it, also clearly writes it, also writes all the theme songs, and they're bangers. Is the wrestling good? I would say no, though there's a couple guys who are pretty good. But it's story wrestling, you know what I mean? Like, they tell a story, and there's a guy named Pubic Moose. It's literally just fun, but it does that thing Chikara did where it's like, it's really smart. The fun, it's silly, but it's not silly without purpose. And it's constantly the stories and these banger songs. There's this weird He-Man thing going on. I can't quite. There's a belt. There's only 2 titles. There's the prize, which is it grants you some sort of power, and there's something called the hot potato belt, which is for the worst wrestler. So only 2 people get belts, and the only way you can get rid of the hot potato is by pinning someone else. Like, you have to get rid of it by putting it on someone worse. It's really fun. There's only 5 episodes. I think they're like 2.5 hours long, but maybe 2 hours. Those are my 4 hard recs.
Those are the recommendations. And NXT, yeah.
If you want to have fun, listen. If you're like, you know what I love? A 5-star match. Kudos, my dude. New Japan exists for you. That's awesome. Kudos for you. AEW does probably 1 a month, right? You get a killer. Awesome. I love a good match, but I love a good match that comes as a result that finishes a story or adds to a story. Like, without story, I just don't care. Like, it's like I haven't subscribed. I haven't subscribed to a Big 2 comic. Like, I don't care about Spider-Man. I don't care about Superman. I care about them in ways. I care about Absolute Batman. I care about Absolute Woman to Woman. And it's because, like, what's the stories? If the stories aren't good, I don't. Like, I quit being a Knicks fan because I quit watching WWE for a long time because they clearly didn't care about me. Like, if it's not good, then I don't need to engage. But it's like, I think we should be having fun. I think comics, we should be having fun. And I think these things, like those 4 things plus NXT, I think NXT is really fun. Could it be better? Yeah, but shit, is that who cares? You know what I mean? Like, who cares?
It's not, yeah. That's not like even like, oh, well, I'm sure they want it to be good, but it's not really its purpose. It's like, it's kind of there. It exists to give people experience, to put on a fun show. And it's like, you know, it is different too. So it's different.
That's also, I love it. I'm even doing, like, I watch Evolve. I watch Evolve too, but like, that's not, you don't watch, like, you don't have to pay attention to that, but that's one I don't mind putting on. I think that might be 30 minutes long too. Like, think about JCW, AAA. Is there an hour long? You know what I mean? They're hour long and they're free. You're in and you're out, and they give you everything you want. And you didn't spend 6 hours of your week being let down. You know what I mean? Right. So yeah, those are my recs right now. Those are my hard recs right now. Yeah,
you're making me making me think about Chikara now, and I got to go back. I've watched Chikara, but it's been a while. I do a wrestling podcast too, and It's actually it is my brother-in-law's cousin. He's still an active indie wrestler at this point, but he's been wrestling for like 20 years, and he's had a little bit of a run in Chikara too. So I remember asking him. I interviewed him, and he had, gosh, who did he tag with at the time? But like probably his biggest match was him and his partner versus Chris Hero and then Claudio Castagnoli in Chikara. I can't remember who he was tagging
Kings of
with too.
Wrestling.
Yes, I can't remember who his partner
What
was
was
at
his
the
name?
time.
What was his wrestling name? Do you know?
Darren Corbin.
Oh, Darren Corbin. Hold on, Darren Corbin from Minnesota.
Yes,
right?
correct.
He wrestled with. I can see him. He wrestled with the same guy every time, and it was DC AC. They're ACDC.
Was it? I think it was it Eric? Because there was this guy. I
Eric
think he went by
Cannon.
Eric Cannon's another. It wasn't him. He's another Minnesota guy. But there was. I think he had like a storyline brother named Aaron Corbin for a bit. I don't remember if that was him though.
Yeah, they had an ACDC thing. I can see the guy.
I can't remember his name though. Anyway, I've seen him too. But anyway, yeah, that when I interviewed him, he had some fun Chikara stories, and I want to go back and watch some of that. It's gonna go on my list of things to do.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know what? Here's the thing about stuff like that, and I feel the same way in regards to like Peacemaker. They're silly because they're good stories. I guarantee you those hold up because they're not set. They're not doing like timely things. Like like seeing name the celebrity Jelly Roll in 5 years, you're like, what the like? Name it. Or they're like doing things that are current bits.
Yeah.
And Chikara didn't do that. Lucha Underground didn't do that. The Attitude Era, I think existed so much as its own thing for so long and had such momentum. Like it didn't really do it either, though I could be. I bet there's a bunch of things. I bet if anything doesn't hold up, like a lot of Sable stuff doesn't hold up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I bet you're like, oh, guys, fellas, too far. But yeah, I bet Chikara holds up. And I had IWTV. I just let it go. I had to let it go because I was watching less and less and less. But like all of Chikara is on there, so it's worth it to go watch. I bet if you go, I can never remember when Claudio joined the sort of the German like super group. Right, if you start right then, I guarantee you it's good up until like whenever they started doing a bunch of shows in the where they had like a training school, and those are good too. But that's where it started to. They started doing like a regular show, and that's also when like the guy who was like had like child porn on his computer started becoming a champion and stuff. You want to get done before then.
Before that,
Maybe once Eddie's gone, think real hard about it. You know what I mean? Once you don't see Eddie Kingston, think real hard about it.
Like, okay, that's definitely a good tip because it's like I want to dive into it more, but I gotta find like where the good stuff is at this point. But well, Kyle, I've been keeping it too long, so thank you again for the time. And before I let you go, how can people that are listening to this best support you by buying your books? Plug your website and.
Yeah, buying the books is a no-brainer. Talking about the books, if you read something you like, tell someone. Like it's just so valuable to, and also like people. That's what we do this for. Is to talk about, like, look at me just talking about wrestling. I don't benefit in any way from that. Jesus Christ, like I'm not helping. JCW doesn't need me. But when you talk about things like that's how we spread the word on things, and that's how we get people excited about things. And like I'm always looking for good things. I'm always looking for things, and there's a lot of stuff people don't know about. So buy the books, talk about the books. Obviously, it's best. Buy it from your store before you buy it from me. I am KyleStarks.com. I'm the Kyle Starks on all social media. I have a Patreon where I do a sticker club, and there's other stuff that's fairly active, which is patreon.com/Kyle Starks. But yeah, I'm the Kyle Starks everywhere. I'm the Kyle Starks, not the Kyle Starks, but one word.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much again for coming on, Kyle. We'll have to have you on sometime in the future to talk about whatever you have going on at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm always glad to be back. Have me back. Let's
all right. Thanks so much. All right. Thanks so much, Kyle. Have a good one.